I got this video. Oh wait, I should probably stop. So I got this video of this YouTuber that I watch named Mutahar, some ordinary gamers. I actually learned a lot of stuff from him because it's like he's in like the tech field, kind of more gamey tech field type thing. So I learned a lot. Like I'm not really in that field, but I watched his video a little bit earlier, or the one that he made before. But this is like a new one, so I'm about to see what he's talking about this Discord and ID situation. I think we start to become like China, man. Like for real, like, and that's not a good thing. So let's see.
Hello, guys and gals, me Mutahar, and ladies and gentlemen, I think the pressure is slowly working. Discord made a bit of a response. For anybody that hasn't known, in the last couple days, Discord is now, as of next month, going to be asking people, possibly, yo, give us your driver's license, pal. You know what I mean? We might need to verify if you're an adult. Now, you all know that I don't feel comfortable when any company asks me for my identification. To give you a quick idea, I always find this a funny story. I was banned off Instagram for impersonating myself, my original Instagram account. Now, Mark Zuckerberg and his company was like, hey, Muta, you want to give me an ID? And I was like, no, not really. So I didn't really give them my identification. My original account is banned. My current account still exists, which I basically just used to follow.
You know what's crazy? Like my brother, he recently got banned from Facebook. And they was like, oh, we need your ID to basically get your account back. And I'm like, that's kind of crazy because it's like, my Facebook is not even my name. What if you have a Facebook and then you don't even post your own pictures? Like, you just have it just for communication. So you don't post nothing about you. So they can't, like match your photo or anything. And then your Facebook name is not even your name. So, like, why would they need your ID in a situation like that? I just thought it was kind of crazy. Like, so I was like, we're becoming like China for real. Like, I ain't gonna lie.
My wife, and that's about it. If that gets banned, oh boy.
Nothing against China. They just got a whole different culture than what we have. So
guess I won't be using Instagram. Anyways, though, a lot of the internet uses age verification laws. Now, you might be sitting there in the United States thinking, we're the land of the free, Muta. We don't need to worry about any of those crazy laws. No, you do. For instance, in the United States, all of these states that are highlighted black have laws regarding age verification. Now, it started when these countries these states, which I guess are kind of like countries, right? Like it's a country of 51 countries combined. But anyways, all semantics aside, these states passed a law where it started.
Wait, let me pause it for anybody you want to see if they state there's a part of this slop of shit going on. So I see my state, so it's like this is like more than half of the country, so everybody else gonna get it. Like, except maybe not Alaska. Who cares? Like,
Started off by saying, "Hey, listen, we don't want kids getting access to adult videos," which is a really noble goal. I think it's a great idea. I don't think kids should be watching pornography. Hell, to be honest with you, I don't even think adults should really be watching pornography too, considering the harmful effects around it. But that's the thing about the world. It's a free situation. You are free to do what you want to do in your house, as am I, okay? As long as we're not hurting anybody or violating the law, I think it's all good. Live and let live is what I say. Now, in these states, basically you can watch pornography. Nobody says that you can't. You just need to provide an identification card that says...
Yo, let me pause it real quick. When's the last time you wore some Tommy Hilfiger? I probably got to say maybe somewhere in junior high for myself, but I just want to make a note of that.
You're over 18.
I actually like that hoodie, though. It's all right.
To access some of these websites. Now, depending on who you are and who you aren't, this is kind of stupid, because anybody with access to a VPN can easily VPN themselves from, say, Texas all the way to New Mexico or California or Nevada and just watch whatever they want. Hell, they could just go to a different country entirely.
They probably just banned VPNs.
Unless politicians are out there wanting to ban VPNs as well.
Yeah, they probably just banned that.
Hey, maybe in some cases they are. This is kind of a stupid law, okay? But yes, a lot of the United States right now is kind of controlled. And if you don't live in those states, anything marked red on this map actually has a pending bill. So it's going to be where just a few states on the map over here, okay, just a few areas like these small states up here, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I love the big bells on Katie. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and the Gooners in Alaska. So 11 states total are really going to be the only free ones that are remaining, okay? Even the fools in Hawaii are going to be passing their ID to watch a little material online. Now here's the thing, it started with pornography, but it immediately does go to things like social media networks, which is Discord in this case. Now don't get me wrong, Discord has had a history of unfortunate situations where teenagers or children have been fucking groomed, and there's a lot.
My thing is like, what happens if like Discord get like hacked, right? So they got all that ID information, and let's say they got your ID, then somehow they could like correlate that to like your like credit card or debit card or wherever how you pay for whatever services. Like I just think it just makes it a lot easier for like a criminal to really like take over, like, you know. So fuck that.
A lot of Discords that exist where adult material is being shared around on a day-to-day basis, but I think for a lot of that kind of stuff, moderation should be tightened, right? Like there should be moderation that specifically looks into places like that, not blanket ask people for their identification. And I think most people tend not to agree in this case. Even big organizations like the EFF have said that, you know, there's no reason that they actually over-complied in this case. So a lot of people, what they've been doing is they've been going to their Discord Nitro subscriptions like so, and they've just basically been hitting that big cancel. So you're seeing it right over here. I'm just gonna drop that cancel. I'm gonna hit that oh, before canceling, you know we're gonna give you a discount. No, if you're gonna ask me potentially for my ID, how about no? So anyways, yeah, it's kind of rough for people, but Discord actually ended up making like a response to this where, again, it probably isn't the response you want to hear. No, they haven't rolled back. In fact, they've doubled down. So for instance, right over here, Discord, they've said that they want to clarify shit. So here's what they want you to know. Discord is not requiring everyone to complete a face scan or upload an ID to use Discord, which is actually true. Okay, I've said this in the last video. You have to read these actual things and see how bad things truly are. So no, they weren't going to ask every single user for their identification or face, because A, that's a lot of information to grab, and that's just going to be way overwhelming. It's going to put a lot of liability and eyes on their shoulder. If they were requiring everyone to do that, there would be hacker groups lining up with pitchforks, machetes, waiting to get into those servers and grab these identities right off the bat. The vast majority of people can continue using Discord exactly as they do today without ever being asked to confirm their age. So basically, you need to be an adult to access age-restricted experiences, which, again, true, you probably should. You know, kids shouldn't be going into NSFW servers, and adults shouldn't be interacting with kids in a naughty way. For the majority of adult users, will be able to confirm your age group using info we have. So people were kind of surprised by this. They were like, whoa, how the fuck were they able to do this? And there's a lot of ways that I guess a company can do that. For instance, my Discord account is probably old enough that they can probably sit there and infer, yeah, this guy's probably an adult. I've also been paying them monthly with Discord Nitro, which is not something that a kid typically has access to in regards to their own personal credit card in their name. But the other thing is, let's be completely real, there's also ways for them to just see your chat history and your video game history and God knows what, and basically infer that this is most likely an adult talking. Anyways, what they did actually say was something that kind of I talked about. So facial scans never leave your devices, and Discord and their vendor partners never receive it, which is kind of something that I'm going to call them out on for being a little bullshitty. For instance, in the United Kingdom, people have actually seen that when you're going to Discord, this is what an age verification thing looks like. And in the UK, they say that they're secured with something called Persona. Now, it's not the video game, it's actually a separate company that does age verification bullshit. Now, again, there's whole companies for this.
Nah, a third-party company doing it? That's even more crazy.
Nonsense. And what they do basically is store your information, I think up to 7 days. So yeah, they are actually storing your info. Now, will they delete it? I don't fucking know. To be honest with you, I don't have access to their servers. I just assume they might, okay? They probably have a lot to lose if they're sitting on your driver's licenses. Now, one of the technologies that I've been reading that apparently is used here is KID, which is right over here. So, alongside Persona, which you've seen in the United Kingdom, this is like sort of the other third party organization that's sort of involved in grabbing, or not really grabbing information, but verifying age identification. So, for instance, there have even been people that have went out of their way to create age verifiers, and they've kind of written it up in a way too, where they say that the age verification actually doesn't store or send your face to the server. Instead, it actually captures a bunch of metadata about your face and general process details. Now, here's the thing: while it's good for your privacy, it's also bad for them because we can just send legitimate looking metadata to their servers and they have no way to tell if it's not legitimate. So this is, again, the issue right here. Now, while this is actually currently patched, nothing stops hackers and crackers from finding other alternative methods to spoof the actual metadata to convince the actual partner here, KID, that, yeah, the person that, you're talking to is an adult, right? And that's simply what the cat and mouse battle for this. It's like anti-cheat versus like cheaters. At the end of the day, all of us normal people lose. And at the end of the day, this is going to be the constant push. Ultimately, it's this kind of hack that'll probably push companies like Discord to rely more on the people that are storing your information to appropriately verify, as opposed to people that are looking at these metadata type verified systems. But yeah, it's something that I don't necessarily believe. Now, when they say facial scans don't leave your device, it makes me wonder what the actual goal for this is. Are they going to make it so that, they're going to develop a new form of like verification where they run like a vision model or like a little machine learning AI model on your device that can like scan your face and then basically assure on the device itself if you're over 18 and then send like a little yes or no back to their server, which if they do that, it's actually not a bad idea. I think honestly they're probably wanting it so that at some point, when it comes to things like Apple Wallet or like, whatever the Google equivalent is for Android, they want the actual smartphone to handle all of this shit on the device and then basically print out a little token.
Nah, fuck that. I'd rather do something. Now, this might be a little over the top, but let's just say you have a Discord, right? And you have whatever identification number that associate with that. They could do like something where you could send them like a genetic skin sample and they could like look into your telomeres and they could kind of tell how old you are based off your telomeres. So I'll probably be more to do that. And it'd be like kind of blind. You don't have to give up an ID. All you giving up is some skin and then it's associated to the account when they send whatever box to get the sample for it. Like, I'll do something like that. But giving up an ID, nah. I'm not cool with that.
That says yes or no, that social media services, devices can use. If that's the extent that they're going for, genuinely interesting. You can kind of test this right now. If you have a smart enough device, you can run a local vision model.
Maybe I'm like overthinking it though. I don't know. I mean, the telomere stuff could work, but then their argument is going to be like, oh, well, once you get the sample, anybody can just use whatever sample to make it pass. Like, and I guess that's true, but I don't know. Sophisticated.
And ask it to analyze a face. And when I did that, it said that, this guy looks like he's in his 20s and 30s. So reasonably accurate. At least it confirmed that I was over 18. And since that information stayed on my device alongside the photo, that is probably the smart way to do it. IDs are used to get your age only and then deleted. I don't believe that whatsoever after we literally just had 70,000 fucking IDs leaked out for the world to look through. Discord only receives your age, that's it. Your identity is never associated with your account, which again is a pretty decent level of clarification that they can provide, right? Ultimately, the only way Discord should really know who the fuck you are is if you're paying for Discord Nitro and they need to verify who's getting billed. That's just... That just makes sense right there. So will I need to age assure to continue using Discord? No, the vast majority of people can use Discord exactly as they are today without being asked to confirm their age. In a minority of cases, when additional confirmation is required, we offer multiple privacy-forward options through trusted partners. And again, you have to trust those partners, and you have to trust that at some point they removed your private information, and let's say that they do remove your private information, you have to hope there is no fucking data breach on that service, right? Like what happened to those 70,000 Australians with their IDs getting fucking yoinked out? So why do I need to go through age assurance? You must be a confirmed adult to access age-restricted content and experiences such as age-restricted servers and channels to modify certain safety settings. The majority of Discord users don't access age-restricted content and they'll never go through a facial age estimation flow. So here's where they do kind of point out that, like, for a lot of people, they probably don't experience anything NSFW to begin with. For me, I don't think that I'm on any NSFW server. I might be if it's like a gaming server and they have like an NSFW like a channel, but you know, I never really open any of those things. Most of the time my Discord shit is just accessing like a 7-person Discord server that me and my closest friends have access to. If anything, it would just be that and like a Siege clan server. So I do tend to agree with Discord here when they say most people don't access this kind of stuff. And I guess if you never interact, then sure, never show me the ID flow right there. So how does Discord use the data? We only get your age from the process and an estimated age range. We use this information for safety purposes and deliver age-appropriate experiences on Discord. So we won't use this information to target you with advertisements. Yeah, I'm sure companies won't do that. Okay, whatever. I'm sure. I have to really believe in these companies. But anyways, if you choose facial age estimation, you'll be prompted to record a short video selfie of your face. The estimation technology runs entirely on your device. So exactly as I was kind of talking about earlier, in that sort of like jerry-rigged LLM way, this is something that they're going to be running on your system. That is actually something that I think I'm more okay with than opposed to sending the actual selfie to like another platform to begin with. If it all happens on device, that's not the worst thing I've seen. So how is the age group data safe on Discord? Age assurance experience are designed to respect user privacy. We're partnering with age assurance vendors who specialize in performing this in a privacy-forward way. Again, you have to really hope that none of this shit happens in a way where these people end up getting breached. Now, for anybody looking closely into things like Persona, for instance, Persona is an organization which raised $200 million, which in a round led by the Founders Fund, a venture capital group run by none other than people like Peter Thiel, who are tied extensively to companies like Palantir. So it makes me wonder, again, these companies are sort of starting up, and a lot of these organizations that are built for data surveillance and mass surveillance all of a sudden are also the same companies that are intertwined with the age verification shit. You know, if they couldn't get your ID in one way, they're gonna get your ID in a fucking different way. The reason I dislike this system the most, too, is it's not meant to protect children. If you want to protect kids, be a fucking parent. Simple as that. Don't even let your kids access Discord. It's the one I don't understand. It's like, as a dad, okay, I wouldn't let my child...
Yeah, really. It should just be like a responsibility there to the parent. And then if something happens and the parent's responsible, like, I think that's fair. Like, that's kind of like if your kid keep like skipping school, then eventually like the parent get in trouble for truancy. So kind of like in that aspect, like your kid keep doing, or in some states, if your kid like hurt somebody, then or driving into an accident, the parents like responsible if they underage. Like, so yeah.
Child go on Discord until they were old enough. You know, it's one of the things, like, as a kid, my mom and dad didn't let me have a fucking email account. Shit, I didn't even have a phone until like much, much later in my life.
I didn't get a phone until I was like maybe 12 or 13, maybe, like, so, and the phone was so basic back in the day, so I don't know.
Around the time when I was like a sophomore in high school, you know, the only social media that I really had access to when I was like a kid, a teenager, was I guess like Facebook, because every kid had like a Facebook, and you know, the time MySpace came out, I wasn't even like really in that trend. But really, the only social media I had at the time was like Xbox Live, which I would only really play with like a couple friends of mine. The reality of all of this is that if you're a parent, be there, monitor what your kid is doing. You're buying them these devices. You're giving them access to the internet. You should, in theory, also pay attention. I'm sorry, let me ask a question here. As a parent, do you buy alcohol and store it in your home and not watch it to see if it if the levels aren't changing? Especially if you have like teenagers or kids, right? You know, it's not uncommon that kids try to break into things like your alcohol containers. you as a parent should keep that shit locked up. Do you own guns by any chance? Like, as somebody that, like, if you're going to own firearms, okay, and you have kids in your house, don't you take the extra degree to keep that shit away? Like, ultimately, if we are at parents' asses for, parental negligence when it comes to letting kids have unfettered access to things like firearms or alcohol or anything, or cigarettes, shouldn't we also look at parents the same way when they give unfettered internet access to children without properly monitoring that shit? That's just what I've always been saying about this whole story. Now, at the end of this, the big issue that I have when it comes to Discord or really any service is when you start implementing age verification laws that, you thought were going to be a big thing in the United Kingdom, in some states in the US. Now it's jumping to a global thing. It doesn't matter if your country doesn't agree with this or not. Social media platforms are overextending themselves, and I don't think they're overextending themselves for no reason. I think there's definitely pressure from, like, the mass surveillance lobby to, like, get all these services to comply with these rules. Because ultimately, if Discord says this now, first off, there's two routes we can go down. Who decides what is NSFW, right? Like, is it just pornography? Is it discussing of anything that could be adult, so to speak? What is NSFW? What speech, is there a hard limit on what we can classify, or are we going to let, people decide what they consider to be adult, right? There's a lot of people that, could say things like discussing, your sexual identity, for instance. That could be NSFW. You may or may not agree with it, but when we don't have these hard rules set, anything that is now decided can then be censored by the average person, and this includes minors, from getting access to information that could possibly help them, or, just information in general. Good information, whatever kind of information you can think of. There's a lot of ways your mind can go. But the other thing is, who can actually control when this check is delivered? Imagine if somebody wanted to keep tabs on you, if somebody wanted to get your identity, right? Let's just say some exterior power or whatever in this case. They could just trigger a check at Discord or any of these social media services, and then they just start getting your identification. I mean, there's a lot that my brain kind of like racks when it comes to talking about this issue, and most of it always gravitates towards things like mass surveillance, as opposed to child protection. Again, to me, child protection is always that amazing excuse you can use to pass draconian mass surveillance laws. It's kind of like back in the day when the Patriot Act happened, right? It's like, huge terrorist attack happens. We need to protect people for national defense. So let's start looking through your emails, and let's start looking through all your data packets for information without, things like wiretaps and whatnot. We're at that point where access to the internet is being limited by a lot of these laws. And look, at the end of the day, I want kids to be safe too, which is why making this video, I'm also... And so I empathize with Discord. I get it. Okay, we don't want children to be harmed. I understand why some of these tools are being billed to people. But ultimately, I do see what happens when you give the state or private entities like a little inch. They usually take 10 miles. And the 10 miles in this case is just people's like personal information. It's just being grabbed, people's activity on the internet being hyper monitored in the coming future. So obviously, look, there are alternatives, and I mentioned this last time. If you have things like TeamSpeak, for instance, hosting a server isn't really the most difficult thing in the world. But if you are somebody that has a small group of friends, and me and my friends discuss this too, we're not going to give our IDs to Discord. We probably will just have a TeamSpeak server. I'll buy it for like $10 a month or some shit, whatever the price is, and we'll just use it, okay? Whatever money I would have given to Discord Nitro, I'd probably just give to TeamSpeak to host our own personal server instead of relying on, a central server constantly asking us for our identification and whatnot. If there's any big benefit I kind of see from all this is maybe, just maybe, people will realize that instead of capitulating, we can start self-hosting our stuff and not being, complicit in giving up our rights and information to organizations that do nothing to respect it. Anyways, if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Just like if you dislike it,
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I don't know.
The original
where
Xbox.
we gonna end up
Microsoft's
to, man.
darling little game.
Shit getting crazy. Like, I mean, Facebook is trying to get like that for real. Like, all the social media asking for IDs. Like, I mean, it just seems like too much. Like, too much. But like and subscribe if you like. the channel, and also visit Mutahar channel because I learned so much off of that guy. So I just watch his videos here and there, but he dabbles in a lot of different stuff. Is this like legal stuff, video game stuff, there's a whole bunch of stuff. Like so, he's a pretty cool dude.